This week on commandN, the stream, Thunderbolt, and Friend of the Week. Welcome to episode 240 of commandN. I'm Amber. I'm here at Mesh with the MGI Media team. commandN has a long history at this conference, one of the top technology conferences in Canada. We have a great show for you today, and to start it, we have an interview with one of the co-hosts of the stream.
We brand the stream, or we call it a social media show with an online TV show. So it's essentially a web community. And the whole concept is we're trying to tap into communities that already exist, where there are really nuanced conversations, where people really understand the issues that directly affect them, but otherwise don't have a voice, or don't often make it to mainstream media. And as you know, the news cycle is so quick, and it's happening so quickly, 24 hours and instant, using Twitter and all these other platforms, that we're really trying to leverage the conversations, some of which are really substantive and really insightful, and just have a conversation on our show. So it's a daily talk show on Al Jazeera English.
Now, what are some of the topics that you would cover? Maybe just give us one topic that you've covered recently that you think is kind of interesting.
For example, a lot of our stories actually are character driven. So there's a story about a Kenyan blogger who's actually a prostitute, and it just raises like a lot of different issues about what's actually happening on the ground in Kenya.
Bash on Twitter, they're curious to know whether you would be willing to pay taxes in case the government legalized your trade.
The entire concept is really trying to find stories that otherwise wouldn't appear in the mainstream media, even if the topic is. We find the stories that you otherwise wouldn't hear and really just talk around them using Skype and really getting people on the ground to kind of have a conversation with us and also with the people on set.
Why is now a good time for a show like this?
There's a lot of reasons. I think it's, we came up with the show and started working on it before these Arab revolutions, but as we've seen, there is such an interest in having access to information and sharing stories. And, you see people around the world participating, not just in journalism and, the democratization of media, but also the democratization of society and of governance.
What are some of the tech tools that you're using right now? The Skype, Storify, all those things.
Yeah, so the whole concept of the show is that we're aggregating, tweets, photos, videos. So we use Storify, which is a curation tool. So our site is powered by Storify, and we really rely on these kinds of platforms. Twitter and Facebook and Skype are obviously powering the actual show. But there's also, Tweet River and all these other tools that allow us to, in a real time, get to the heart of a story, get to the heart of a conversation, and kind of limit the kind of conversation. Because as you know, I'm sure there's so many conversations happening, and so we really want to get to the heart of a story and the root of a conversation.
For our social media tip this week, I wanted to talk about an interesting way to use your profile picture on your Facebook page to promote your community. I was recently doing some business with StorageMart in Toronto, and I noticed that they started this feature called Friend of the Week, where they featured me as one of their friends. Kind of a neat way to take advantage of a place on your Facebook page that is usually very static, and this way you really do involve the community.
Hi, I'm Jeff MacArthur, and on this Tech Tips, I'm going to give you a little introduction to Thunderbolt, which is an I/O connection just being introduced that can make all of our lives a lot easier. Originally called LightPeak, Thunderbolt is an interface developed by Intel that supports high-performance data devices and displays.
You want to watch the speedometer as it's transferring to show you real-time how fast it's transferring.
Thunderbolt is most popularly available on Apple's newest MacBook Pros and iMacs, although it's certainly not a Mac-specific thing, and it should be carried through a wide range of devices as time goes on, for three main reasons, really. First of all, speed. Thunderbolt is very, very fast, providing 2 channels on a single connection with 10 gigabits per second of throughput in both directions. That's 20 times faster than USB 2, 12 times faster than FireWire 800, and even 4 times faster than USB 3, which it has a lot of other advantages over as well. This means that you could transfer a 2-hour HD movie in something like 30 seconds, so that's getting very important these days. Next, flexibility. Thunderbolt can leverage both PCI Express and DisplayPort type connections in a single cable, meaning using simple adapters, you can connect USB, FireWire, Ethernet, DVI, HDMI, VGA, and lots of other peripherals. So that'll get rid of a lot of clutter for us, hopefully. And finally, simplicity. all the data can be carried through a single cable, along with 10 watts of power for peripherals, and that means that's enough to charge your iPad quickly, which is important for a lot of us nowadays. Plus, a single Thunderbolt port supports daisy chaining of up to 7 Thunderbolt devices in a row, 2 of which can be high-res displayed. So like I say, this should get rid of a lot of cable clutter. And I love that we've progressed as far as we have with wireless connections, but there's some things that just need to be hardwired for speed, and Thunderbolt will hopefully mean fewer of those wires and a lot more speed. So here's hoping that some more devices adopt Thunderbolt quickly in the near future. It'd be fantastic to see it on some new iPhones and iPads, so you could get the data transfer rates up in those to a more reasonable level as their hard drives expand. And we'd like to see it all over the place. But that's all for this week. I'm Jeff MacArthur. Enjoy.
So Happily.com just launched yesterday, and it tracks your happiness at work. So specifically, it asks you a series of questions that, as you answer, it creates a mood for you. And your mood score is aggregated with everybody else in the company to create a company score. And as your answers to those questions change, so too does your mood score, so too does your company's score. So we ask you questions about your team, your boss, the work you're doing, and the company overall. And how you answer those questions changes your mood. Ultimately, we think that being able to share what's really on your mind in a positive, constructive way should be helpful to a lot of companies.
That's all for today's episode. As always, we love to hear from you. Please visit us online at commandN.tv to leave us a comment. And if you want to share a video with us, you can leave us a link, and we'd love to feature it in our webPICKS on the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.